Have you ever found yourself sitting alone in the dark, in complete silence, with nothing but your own thoughts for company? And those thoughts were absolutely tearing you apart. Have you ever given someone everything you had? Your love, your loyalty, your complete and utter trust, and had them throw it back in your face like it meant nothing? Have you ever cried so quietly that nobody in the next room even knew you were breaking? Have you ever stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m, wondering whether the pain you were carrying would ever stop? I know that feeling, and if you're honest with yourself right now, you know it too. But I need you to stay with me today, because what I am about to say could change the way you see everything that has happened to you. Listen carefully. What was done to you, every betrayal, every lie, every moment of cruelty that was handed to you without a second thought, will find its way back. Not because you wished for it, not because you planned for it, but because that is simply how life works. Pain is a boomerang, and no matter how far someone throws it, no matter how long it takes to travel, it always comes back to the hand that released it. Now, I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Think about it. Everything you send out into the world, whether it's warmth or wickedness, kindness or cruelty, it doesn't just disappear into thin air. It travels. It moves through the world like a ripple across still water, spreading outward, touching everything in its path, and then slowly, surely, curving back around toward the source. The universe keeps its own records, and it is meticulous about it. It doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It doesn't forget. But it always, without fail, delivers what is due. People make the mistake of thinking they can cause harm and simply walk away from it. They convince themselves that if they move on quickly enough, if they start fresh, if they build new memories and surround themselves with new faces, the damage they left behind will somehow dissolve, that the person they hurt will eventually get over it, that their actions will be swallowed up by time, that the universe won't notice or won't care. But here is the thing, and this is something that life will teach you whether you're ready to learn it or not. Pain does not vanish simply because the person who caused it stops thinking about it. It lingers. It waits. And eventually, with all the patience in the world, it finds its way home. There is a principle woven into the very fabric of existence, and it doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. What you give is what you receive. It's not complicated. It's not mystical. It's simply the natural order of things. If you plant seeds of suffering in someone else's life, you cannot reasonably expect to sit back and harvest peace in your own. If you sow deception, don't expect loyalty to find you. If you shatter someone's spirit with your words or your actions, do not expect your own spirit to remain untouched. Life is not built on shortcuts or loopholes. It is built on balance. And here is where it gets interesting. The pain doesn't always return through the same door it left. It doesn't necessarily come from the person you wronged. It doesn't always wear the same face or arrive at the same intensity. But when it returns, and it will return, it finds the one who set it in motion. The person who lied and deceived may one day look around and realize they are surrounded entirely by people they cannot trust. The person who abandoned someone in their darkest hour may one day find themselves utterly alone, and they desperately need someone to lean on. The person who brought tears to someone else's eyes may one day cry the very same tears, sitting in the very same kind of darkness, wondering why life has treated them so unfairly. And the truly sobering part, they won't always make the connection. They won't always look at their own suffering and recognize it as the echo of what they once put into the world, because that's not how it works. The universe doesn't send a letter in the post explaining itself. It doesn't show up at your door with a receipt. It simply delivers the lesson in its own time, in its own way, and leaves you to figure out the rest. Now, there are people in this world who genuinely believe they are untouchable. You've met them. Maybe you've been hurt by one of them. They move through life with this extraordinary confidence that consequences simply don't apply to them. They hurt people freely, lie without batting an eyelid, manipulate those around them with absolute ease, and walk away from the wreckage they create without so much as a backwards glance. They'll tell themselves their actions don't matter. They'll tell themselves that other people's pain is not their responsibility. They'll construct elaborate justifications for everything they do, wrapping their cruelty in the language of self-preservation, practicality, or even righteousness. But none of that changes what they've set in motion. None of it cancels the energy they've released into the world. Because life is not built on avoidance. It is built on balance. Every single action sends out a vibration. And I mean that in the most grounded, real-world sense possible. When you cause pain, you don't just leave a mark on the person you've hurt. You leave a mark on yourself, on your own story, on the path your life is traveling. And that mark will make itself known. It might not happen today. It might not happen next week, or even next year. But somewhere down the line, when that person least expects it, in the quiet of an ordinary Tuesday or in the middle of what should have been, their happiest moment, the weight of what they dismissed, ignored, or justified will arrive at their door. And it won't knock gently. It won't announce itself. It will simply be there, undeniable and inescapable. Some people call it karma. Some call it divine justice. Some talk about the law of energy, or the law of cause and effect, or simply the golden rule dressed up in different language. It doesn't matter what you call it. The name is irrelevant. What matters is the principle, and the principle is this: you cannot escape the energy you create. When you send pain into the world, you are quite literally writing yourself into a future that will include that same pain coming back around. You may not recognize it when it arrives. It may come through a completely different person, in a completely different season of your life. But it will come. Those who have been genuinely wronged often spend a great deal of time wondering whether the people who hurt them will ever truly understand what they did. They lie awake asking themselves whether that person will ever feel the same agony, the same despair, the same hollow heartbreak that they've been carrying around like a stone in their chest. And the honest answer is yes, they will. But perhaps not in the way you're imagining. Perhaps not on a timeline you'll ever witness. Some people suffer in silence. Some people break in private, behind carefully maintained smiles and busy social lives. Some people walk through the world appearing completely fine on the outside while something inside them is slowly crumbling under the accumulated weight of everything they refuse to face. When someone causes genuine harm, they set something into motion that is entirely beyond their control. They may believe they've moved on. They may feel confident that they've escaped any real consequence. But the energy they created is still traveling. It's still moving through time, through circumstance, through the invisible threads that connect all our lives together, working its way back to its origin. The universe doesn't operate on human timelines. It doesn't consult our calendars or respect our sense of urgency. But it always, without exception, delivers what is owed. Pain is not erased by a new relationship. It's not canceled out by new friendships, new distractions, or even genuine success. It lingers in the background, patient and unhurried, waiting for the moment when it is needed. And when that moment comes, it doesn't arrive as a single drop. It comes as a storm, a proper, full-force storm that strips away every illusion, that forces a reckoning with everything that was once dismissed. That makes a person truly feel, what they once refused to acknowledge in another human being. It arrives with force, with weight, with a presence so undeniable that there is absolutely nowhere left to hide. The pain they gave will return to them, not because you wished it upon them, though perhaps you did, and that's understandable and human. Not because you orchestrated it or prayed for it or spent your nights plotting it, but simply because that is the natural order of things. What you break will one day break you. What you take from another will be taken from you. This isn't revenge. This isn't punishment handed down by some external authority. This is balance. This is the universe maintaining its own equilibrium in the only way it knows how: quietly, relentlessly, and without exception. Pain is a boomerang. You can throw it as hard as you like. You can release it and walk away and convince yourself it's gone forever. But it will come back. It always comes back. And when it does, it carries with it the full weight of everything that was once carelessly thrown. Now, let's talk about something that a lot of people find genuinely difficult to accept. Life balances the scales. Not immediately, not always, busily, not in the dramatic, satisfying way that films and stories tend to depict, but consistently and inevitably, life finds a way to even things out. The weight of every action, every decision, every moment of cruelty or integrity, it may tip the scales for a time. It may seem as though life is unfairly favoring those who don't deserve it, but the scales never remain unbalanced forever. Everything finds its place. Everything settles. There are moments And if you've been through real heartbreak or real betrayal, you will know exactly what I'm talking about, when injustice seems to absolutely pour down on you. When you watch someone who deceived you continue to prosper. When you see someone who hurt you walking around without a care in the world, apparently unbothered by the destruction they left in their wake. When the person who broke you seems to be getting nothing but good things whilst you're still here, quietly trying to piece yourself back together. It is, without question, one of the most frustrating and painful experiences a person can have. It shakes your faith in fairness. It makes you question whether any of it actually matters. Whether being honest, being kind, being loyal, makes even the slightest bit of difference. But here's what you're not seeing. In those moments, you're seeing a single chapter and calling it the whole story. You're looking at a photograph and thinking you understand the entire film. What he's on saying, what life is doing quietly in the background, is that it is always keeping track. Always. It doesn't rush. It doesn't act on impulse, but it never forgets a single thing. The scales may tilt heavily in the wrong direction for a while. They may seem to favor the dishonest, the selfish, the deliberately cruel. But that tilt is never permanent. Life has a corrective mechanism built into it. People who construct their lives on deception will eventually discover that their foundations are sand. What they gain through dishonesty will slip through their fingers. What they built through manipulation will crumble without warning. Because nothing built on a rotten foundation can stand forever, no matter how solid it appears from the outside. And here is what those people never realize. The weight of their choices doesn't disappear. It accumulates. Every betrayal, every lie, every moment of taking without giving adds to an invisible debt. And life collects, not violently, not dramatically, but with absolute certainty. They may not connect their eventual suffering to their past actions. They may genuinely not understand why things are falling apart. But the scales are always shifting, always correcting, always ensuring that nothing stays one-sided forever. Now, I want to speak for a moment to those who have suffered, those who have endured, those who have been waiting, perhaps for a very long time, wondering whether any of the goodness they put into the world was even noticed. Those who gave everything they had and received very little in return. Those who stayed loyal when others were careless, who told the truth when lying would have been easier, who showed up for people who didn't show up for them. Those who cried themselves to sleep, wondering if they had been foolish to care so much. You haven't been foolish, and you haven't been forgotten. Life is working in the background on your behalf, whether you can feel it or not. Every sacrifice you made in silence, every moment you chose dignity over revenge, every time you extended kindness when bitterness would have been the easier road, all of it is being counted. Not in the way a financial ledger counts, but in the way that energy moves through a life, gradually, undeniably shifting things in the direction of those who deserve it. There are moments when people who have suffered wonder if they will ever see the scales tip in their favor. They wonder if their pain was meaningless, if their sacrifices were made in vain, if the kindness they offered was simply wasted on people who weren't capable of appreciating it. But here is what they don't always see. Life is always working behind the scenes. The good you have done is not forgotten. The integrity you maintained under pressure is not irrelevant. Every single tear, every sleepless night, every moment of silent endurance is part of a larger story that is still being written. The scales shift slowly sometimes, so slowly that it can genuinely feel as though nothing is happening at all. But every act of integrity, every choice to do right, even when wrong would have been easier, every moment of genuine love freely given, all of it adds weight to the balance on your side. And when the time is right, the shift happens. The weight that was pressing you down lifts. The pain that was consuming your days begins to fade. The struggles that once felt like they were defining you start to look like the very foundation you were standing on all along. People who have done wrong may not see their reckoning coming. They may continue moving forward with absolute confidence that nothing will ever catch them. They may live in genuine comfort, believing their actions have no real consequences. But life ensures, and I mean this with complete certainty, that no one escapes what they have put into the world. They may outrun accountability for a time. They may live in blissful ignorance for months, or even years. But eventually, the scales tip. And when they do, there is no avoiding the accumulated weight of everything they chose to ignore. Some people try to game the balance. They sense something catching up with them and they attempt to manipulate their own fate, performing half-hearted apologies, making public displays of remorse. trying to rewrite their past through words alone. But life is not fooled by the surface. It sees beyond temporary guilt. It sees past the shallow performance of redemption. The scales do not shift for those who have not truly changed. They only balance when the lesson has been genuinely absorbed, when the person has actually felt firsthand the weight of what they once dismissed so casually in someone else. For those who have been wronged, who have endured, who have waited quietly for some form of justice, patience is hard. It is genuinely hard. It is difficult to trust that things will balance when the wound is still fresh, when the hurt is still raw, when every day still carries the weight of what was done to you. But what you must hold on to is this: life does not forget. The balance is not optional. The shift will come. It may not arrive when you expect it. It may not look the way you imagined it would, but it will come when it is meant to come. Because life does not allow anyone to walk away permanently from the reality of what they have chosen. In love, in friendship, in family, in every corner of human experience, what has been given will be received in return. It may not be immediate, it may not be obvious in the moment, but it is certain. The scales are always in motion, always adjusting, always tending toward the one inevitable truth that nothing remains unbalanced forever. Now let me tell you something about the deeper nature of pain, because we need to understand this. Pain does not disappear when it is inflicted. It grows. It takes root in the heart of the one who suffers, spreading quietly through their thoughts, their emotions, the way they see themselves and the world around them. A single act of cruelty, a single betrayal, a single moment where someone made the deliberate choice to cause harm. It may seem small in the moment, even insignificant, but pain is never just a moment. It lingers. It spreads. It deepens over time in ways that the person who caused it will never fully understand. People chronically underestimate the impact of the pain they cause. They think words are just words. They think actions fade. They tell themselves the wounds will heal and everyone will move on and nothing will be permanently affected. So they walk away from the damage they created, certain that time will smooth everything over. But the person they hurt is still living with it, still carrying it, still having it shape the way they see themselves, the way they approach relationships, the way they respond to kindness. When it's offered, a single lie can destroy a trust that took years to carefully build. A single betrayal can transform love into something cold and guarded. A single act of abandonment can change the way a person believes in other human beings, perhaps for the rest of their life. What starts as one moment of pain does not stay contained. It multiplies. The person who was hurt carries that pain forward into their next relationship, into their next friendship, into every new encounter where vulnerability is required. They become more cautious, more guarded, more reluctant to open up, and the pain they were given begins to change them. Not always in ways that are visible, but in ways that are real and lasting. They were handed something they never asked for, and now they must carry it everywhere they go. What many fail to appreciate, and this is genuinely important, is that pain is generational. When someone is deeply wounded, they often pass that pain on without even meaning to. A person who is hurt by love may find themselves unable to love another person fully, not because they don't want to, but because something in them has been damaged in a way that makes full openness feel impossible. A person who is abandoned may develop a powerful fear of connection, unconsciously pushing people away before they can be pushed away themselves. A person who is betrayed may become genuinely incapable of trust, building walls so high and so thick that nobody, no matter how sincere, can break through. The cycle of pain doesn't end with the person who first felt it. It is carried forward, planted into new soil, spreading in directions that nobody could have predicted. There are people walking through their lives right now who have never healed from the pain they were given. They carry it like a shadow that follows them everywhere. They've built their entire approach to life around their wounds, convincing themselves that the only way to stay safe is to never be vulnerable again. And in doing so, many of them become the very thing that once hurt them. They inflict pain on others, not out of malice, necessarily, but because they have simply never known anything different. The seeds of pain don't just grow in individual hearts. They grow in families. They grow in relationships. They grow in communities. A child who grows up in a home filled with unresolved anger learns to carry that anger into their own life, their own relationships, their own children. A person raised on neglect learns to see neglect as the default setting for human relationships. Generations pass down unhealed wounds, like a grim inheritance, never fully realizing that they are suffering not just from their own pain, but from the accumulated pain of everyone who came before them. The cycle continues, because pain, once planted and left unaddressed, does not simply disappear. It grows, it spreads, it consumes. There are those who believe they can cause suffering and walk away completely unscathed, that their actions will stay contained in the person they wounded, that the pain they created is somebody else's problem now and has nothing more to do with them. But pain is not something that stays where it was placed. It moves. The person who was hurt may not seek revenge. They may not return the pain directly, but the energy of that pain moves through the world, and it will find its way back to its source. The more suffering a person causes, the more they surround themselves with the very energy they created. They may not see it happening. They may even laugh at the people they've hurt and convince themselves they feel nothing. But pain doesn't require immediate retaliation to make itself felt. The seeds they planted in others will grow in time, and what they grow into will reach back. The lies they told will one day be told about them. The love they took for granted will one day be something they desperately need but can no longer find. The trust they destroyed will leave them, eventually, in a kind of isolation they never saw coming, because the world operates on a balance, whether people choose to acknowledge it or not. The things we plant will always return to us. If we plant love, love feeds through us. If we plant kindness, kindness grows in our lives. But if we plant pain and choose to water it through carelessness and cruelty, that pain does not simply vanish into the air. It becomes a storm that moves through lives, through relationships, through time itself. Some people spend their entire lives running from the pain they created. They leave broken hearts, fractured friendships, and damaged souls scattered behind them, always moving forward, always starting fresh, always convinced that if they can just get far enough ahead, they'll never have to face the harvest. But the seeds they planted are still growing, and one day, in some form, in some fashion, at some point, when they are least prepared for it, they will have to walk through the field they sowed. Pain changes people. There's no getting around that. It makes them stronger, often wiser, sometimes more resilient, certainly. But it also makes them cautious in ways that cost them. It builds walls where there once were open doors. It turns warmth into something more careful and controlled. It transforms natural trust into a kind of careful suspicion that has to be earned all over again, slowly, painfully. And the people who cause that pain, they never see the full extent of what they've done. They see the moment, the immediate aftermath. They surface, but they don't see the years of healing, the quiet battles, the 3 a.m. moments of doubt, the way someone flinches slightly when offered kindness because the last time they accepted kindness, it was used against them. They don't see any of that, but it's all happening, long after they've moved on. Some people never fully recover from the pain they were given. They spend their lives trying to move past it, working hard to forget, to reframe, to rebuild, and they make extraordinary progress. But the seeds that were planted, they continue to grow somewhere in the background. And those who cause that suffering, they may believe they've escaped its reach entirely, but they haven't. The suffering they inflicted is not gone. It is simply waiting to be understood, waiting to return, waiting to be felt in the same way it was once so carelessly given. Because pain, once planted, does not stay buried. It rises, it spreads, it grows. Now, here is the part I really need you to hear. Life will try to break you. That is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. Life will throw obstacles directly in your path. It'll push you down when you're trying to stand. It will test you in ways you never anticipated, and in moments you're not remotely prepared for. People will betray you. Some will lie to you with absolute conviction. Some will walk away precisely when you need them most. And some will make you question your worth so thoroughly that you start to believe every word. Circumstances will shake you to your foundation. You'll face moments of complete uncertainty. Moments where nothing makes any sense at all. Moments where you genuinely wonder if you have anything left to give. But no matter what happens, Irmiontis, your job is to rise. You are not put on this earth to stay down. You are not given this life to live it in permanent defeat. The world may be harsh. People may be cruel. Pain may feel as though it will never end, but you were made for more than this. Every hardship, every struggle, every single tear you have shed, it is not there to destroy you. It is there to strengthen you. You may not understand that right now. You may not be able to see the purpose in what you're going through, but your only real responsibility in this life, the one thing you owe to yourself above everything else, is to keep rising. There will be days when getting up feels genuinely impossible, when the weight of everything you've been through sits on your chest like something physical, making it hard to breathe properly. There will be mornings when you wake up already exhausted, when exhaustion has become your default state, when your heart feels worn out, and your spirit feels like it has nothing left. And it is precisely in those moments, those particular, brutal, specific moments, that you need to remind yourself why you are here. You are not here to be defeated. You are not here to let life grind you down into nothing. You are here to rise. People will doubt you. They will question your dreams with this casual certainty that tells you they've never really believed in them at all. They will laugh at your ambitions, perhaps not to your face, but behind your back, in rooms you'll never see, in conversations you'll never hear. They will tell you that you're not enough, that you're reaching too far, that you should be more realistic. Don't listen to them. Not for a single second. Their words are not an accurate assessment of your potential. They are a reflection of their own limitations, their own fears, their own inability to imagine beyond the boundaries of what they've been willing to try. They do not define you. They do not decide your future. You do. The people who try to pull you down do so because they cannot find a way to rise themselves. They see your strength, and it unsettles them. They see your potential, and they don't know what to do with it, so they try to diminish it before it can fully emerge. They try to dim your light because they are genuinely afraid of what it might become. But that is not your burden to carry. Your job, as it has always been and will always be, is not to make yourself smaller to keep others comfortable. Your job is to rise. Failure will come. This is not a possibility. It is as certain as the morning. You will make mistakes. Some of them will be costly. You will stumble badly on occasions. You will take risks that absolutely do not work out, and you will have to live with the consequences. But failure is not the end of anything. It is the beginning. Every failure teaches you something you couldn't have learned any other way. Every mistake builds something in you. Every loss prepares you for a victory that would have been possible without the suffering that preceded it. The difference between those who ultimately succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure. It is the refusal to stay down. The ones who rise are the ones who fall. Lie on the ground for a moment, acknowledge it hurts, and then get back up anyway. Not because it's easy, not because they feel ready, but because staying down was never really an option they were willing to accept. Pain is part of the journey. You will lose people you love. You will experience heartbreak of a kind that makes the world feel gray and empty. You will be disappointed, betrayed, and hurt in ways you genuinely never expected. The pain will feel unbearable at times. It will shake you to your absolute core. But pain is also, when you're ready to hear it, one of the most effective teachers in existence. It reveals who you truly are when everything comfortable has been stripped away. It shows you a strength you didn't know you possessed. It teaches you, often with brutal efficiency, what truly matters and what you were clinging to that never actually served you. The pain you endure today will become the strength you carry tomorrow, but only if you choose to rise from it. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.